Here we go. Yeah, I don't even know if y'all can hear me, so I'm sure you can now.
Icons so you never miss another video. Alright fighters, let's continue.
Hey, fellas, it's your boy Ghostface Gaming. As a player upload, aka Round Town City Council, I will be at the Golden City Comic-Con this year. I'll be standing out front. Just out here with my boy Sam Johnson. Running for mayor.
Be strong enough to kill him. This intense training and motivation pushed Piccolo to be much stronger than he would otherwise be. It was only a matter of time before he was powerful enough to defeat Kakarot, Vegeta thought to himself. Unbeknownst to Vegeta, Piccolo was having a conflict deep within. Kami had visited him a few times in secret. They hated each other, but Kami offered to help him train alongside Kakarot. Despite his intense loathing for his evil half, he knew that Vegeta was a greater threat than he would ever be, and they needed to work together to stop him. Piccolo was smart enough, and he played both sides. He would train with Vegeta in the gravity chamber, and then train with Goku in the room of spirit and time in secret. He actually liked Kakarot somewhat, though they never trusted each other. His kind-hearted nature, a refreshing change from Vegeta's ruthless and cold demeanor. Slowly, Piccolo started to soften up a little, thanks to Goku. His demeanor was changing, but it caused great turmoil in his heart. Should he continue to be ruthless and brutal like his master Vegeta? Or should he be gentle, yet unwavering like Goku? Kami could sense the storm brewing in Piccolo's heart. He never thought the spawn of true evil would change, but he was, right in front of his eyes. He always think about what Vegeta right. How strange it is that after all this time spent,
we got weed on our minds. We wondered how little old plant could cause such a stud to be made illegal.
No, that's true.
And what were the motivations of those who drove it to be made illegal in the first place? Well, Bordeaux has a long, proud tradition of cultivating our own vices. Making our own cigars and alcohol since before this city even existed. But of course, if the government doesn't get its cut, never return trouble. So why not legalize and tax it? Is there something else going on here? Well, there's a person who might be able to shine a light on things. There are 100,000 total marijuana smokers in the U.S., and most are Negroes, Hispanics, Filipinos, and entertainers. Their satanic music, dance, and swing result from marijuana use. This marijuana causes white women to seek sexual relations with Negroes, entertainers, and any others.
And he expects there. Goku and Vegeta arrive at the
Mr. Harry Anslinger, a man responsible for the prohibition of marijuana, said that back 30 years ago. Mr. Anslinger also blessed us with these fine words of wisdom.
His greatest terror on Earth. They enter the planet, along with Krillin and Yamcha. They will be here to prevent all Bulma shows up as well. Realizes that Vegeta is there and openly words with him. Never left Yamcha while back. Vegeta actually gets trusted that, which really Yamcha. Goku looks on in confusion. Fighters and Piccolo breeze through the competition where there is a lone fighter that catches Vegeta's attention. It was a muscular, bald
Do these laws mean no one, black, white, brown, or blue is lighting up? Are we just not smoking weed?
As a result, he never entered the
folks are enjoying it as much as
never
that
fought
bad
Goku
tub
or
gin or
Jack.
that
Then
vinyl
he's still
shot.
malicious, deadly
The
assassin.
real question then is
He
who's
approached the
getting
sequence,
incarcerated
walking
for?
Yamcha and Krillin. Asks them
That's what
if they've
we're
come
really
back to
talking
get their
about
legs
here.
broken again. They are about to go back.
Here the
Vegeta tells them
amens
to
that
shut
go
up.
through the
They
hollow
truly
right
haven't
now,
proved.
for sure,
Then
for
they'll
sure.
prove it. They have taunted
But I'm
Vegeta.
going to answer that question with another quote from the good Mr.
They
Anslinger.
weren't good enough to
The
get
primary reason to
It
outlaw
was scary, but
marijuana
he smiles.
is its effect
Something that
on
he
the
enjoyed breaking them
degenerate
apart. His first matches against Vegeta, despite being cocky before, it's
Degenerate.
overwhelmed. No matter how many
In other
attacks he
words,
uses, Vegeta simply
remember
overcomes
when
all
we
of them.
spoke
Not even
about
the
those
evil host
who
of
don't
Kings.
believe colored
Vegeta
folk are
simply took
even
a blast
human?
head on and mouth without a scratch. Vegeta won, but not before telling him to clean up his act. Again, his head straight. His clouded soul was reflected. Vegeta realized that he's right. This humbling experience showed him that he wanted more than anything else the thrill of the battle, not dominating others. He bows and thanks Vegeta for the lesson, but Vegeta simply scoffs. In reality, he saw little of himself in Tien. Goku and Piccolo's battle is the one that Vegeta looks forward to the most, even more so than his own battle. It was spectacular. He had trained both men at least some, and he watched them use his own techniques and their own. Vegeta did realize that a lot of their attacks seemed very similar to Kami's techniques that he taught Goku. Piccolo must have learned a little bit from that deity as well. Goku's Kamehameha and Piccolo's Gallic Gun clashed. Vegeta actually wasn't sure who would win. Kakarot had spent some time in the time chamber, but he wasn't a fan of it. He only went in there with Piccolo. But Piccolo had a lot more training with Vegeta than Goku did. He was built specifically to defeat this younger Saiyan, and though Goku had the power advantage at first, Piccolo's training really showed off in the second half. Not only had his training with Goku helped him get stronger, but it also gave him insight into his weaknesses. Goku was far too loose with his movements. Even cocky, Piccolo exploited this, surprising Goku with something that he had never shown off before, his arm extension. He juked Goku and made him expect a punch. For example, behind Goku and pull him out of the arena. This surprised defense Piccolo defeated Goku in the tournament. The Namekian was happy with the victory, but Goku was almost broken. He still needed to avenge his father. Kami won at the lookout. He had wanted to enter the tournament, but Goku promised that him and Piccolo were enough to take down Vegeta. He still wasn't sure. He was still doing a lot. Not only Piccolo and Vegeta, but also the fact that he now knows that Namekian. What else was there? In the finals, Vegeta fights Piccolo, and it's a spectacular match. Piccolo goes all out as he uses every single ability and technique at his disposal. Stretchy limbs, multi-form, paralysis, giant form, etc. He even developed a new, deadly technique just to kill Vegeta. The Makankozapo Special Beam Cannon. For the first time in his life, Vegeta is excited in the battle. He congratulates Piccolo for pushing him this far and thanks him for the match. However, he says that he's going to bring it to an end before he can do any harm to the here. Piccolo asks what he means by this, and Vegeta drops a bombshell. Not once since he's been on this planet has he ever revealed his true power. Not once. He powers up to the maximum, as everyone, including Kami, Piccolo, and Goku, look on in horror and disbelief. He declared himself a Super Saiyan, though his appearance didn't change at all. Piccolo tries anything he can to fight Vegeta, but it's no use. Vegeta easily defeats Piccolo, and the prince is announced as the winner of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. But Vegeta spares Piccolo's life once more, as he encourages him to continue training so he can kill the prince someday. Piccolo has nothing else to say and leaves. Goku gets engaged with Chi-Chi during the tournament, and Bulma congratulates Vegeta with a kiss on the cheek, which makes him blush. Thus, the Saiyans raised on Earth have now grown up. Some time passed after the 23rd World Tournament. Vegeta has accepted that this piece of space rock is his new home. He at least takes solace in the fact that he has Bulma's gravity and Bulma herself to keep him company. Things are starting to calm down as they're training nor in the flying fortress. Goku does it on his own. His plan about how soon after marrying Chi-Chi, while Piccolo roams the wastelands, Goku does occasionally decide to sleep with the local well. Meanwhile, Vegeta stays in his flying fortress. Goku eventually ends up teaching Gohan, and his existence brings hope to Vegeta for the race, even if he doesn't want to admit it. He's also visiting Bulma more and more often, and they're even starting to meet things and closer to Goku and his family. Vegeta is even starting to look at the Pilaf gang as friends, while viewing Bulma as something more. However, in the back of Vegeta's mind, he hears that he's content. He's becoming complacent, soft. The Force found him, and that all his happiness would be taken away in an instant. Gohan notices the storm brewing in his soul as he offers that he should go see the old Baba, the witch warrior. Then he might tell him the future. Vegeta agrees as he single-handedly takes on Baba's tournament and wins easily. When she reads his fortune, images of space himself laughing over a destroyed city shine on her crystal ball. Vegeta is utterly shocked and terrified. This confirms that he was getting too soft. The shadow of Frieza and the terror that he brings always looming over this planet. He was a fool to think that the tyrant would never find him. Vegeta starts to become closed off and distant from everyone. The Pilaf gang, Bulma, Goku, and Gohan notice this. They're all worried. Chi-Chi recommends that Goku invites Vegeta and Bulma for a dinner to celebrate Gohan's second birthday. He thinks that this is a great idea, as Goku invites his brother and the Pilaf gang to their home. Everyone has a great time. Even Vegeta seems to be enjoying himself. During dinner, Goku and Gohan reminisce on their past, as Vegeta finally decides it's time to tell everyone. Goku asks point blank what's bothering him. Vegeta tells everyone about his worries, about Frieza, his visit to Baba's, their visions, his fear for this planet, and himself. They aren't ready to face the tyrant. Goku and Gohan say that they can just continue training and prepare for what's next, but Vegeta just can't trust them. He views them all as weaklings, and it's this planet and its weakness that scare him so much. He's scared that everyone on this planet will die unless he does something drastic. He declares to everyone that he plans to take over Earth so that he can prepare for Frieza's inevitable invasion. Thanks so much for watching this part 3 of What If Goku and Vegeta Went to Earth Together. This is a story a lot of you guys have wanted for a very long time. I'm excited to finally get it done. The like goal for this video, if you want a part 4, is 3,000 likes. So help me raise this video's power level up to that. Next week's What If video is going to be What If Goku and Vegeta Revives the Saiyans, Part 2. I know you guys really enjoyed that one, and so did I. So I'm excited to continue it. I now have stickers that you can get. So if you're interested in having a little smug stick character icon based on the Budokai 1 character select screen, check it out down below. I'm excited for it. Thank you to the Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Legend, and Ultra Instinct members of the channel. Ultra Instinct is a new level I just added. That includes becoming friends on Discord and chatting and stuff like that. If that sounds interesting, consider joining and becoming a member. Anyways, thank you to Neil Whitcomb, Wayne Antoine, Dustin Nelson, Sacred Saiyan, Eric Dragon, Phil J. Akir, Pizza Hut Kitman, Orlando Castellano, Hannah Rowan, Sid Lord, Sir Justice, Midnight Combatant, The Real Samuel Randall, and Zachary Croy. This channel just wouldn't be around without you guys. So as always, thank you. That's pretty much all for me. And until we meet again. See ya!
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Smugstick, unless you want to be destroyed. Lord Beerus, that's hardly fair. But also, don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified when he uploads new videos.
Firestone Direct comes to you, making vehicle maintenance convenient. Simply log on to FirestoneDirect.com, select a time, and choose a service, such as new tires, brake replacement, or one of our other services. Firestone Direct, now we come to you.
Davis, we come out here for the winter to be with you, and it's like you're not even here with us.
I'm sorry, guys. I've just been talking to a woman all day.
Is she Jewish?
I am dead. I'm looking. I am dead. I am dead.
Look, if you haven't claimed your $250 Instacash, they should. Look, if you haven't claimed your $250 Instacash, you need to see this. So, did you know that there's an actual website that would give you $250 in cash? And I'm talking about instantly. And you out there, a little bit more cash before you get paid, like a lot of us, then this can help you seriously. And look, I know what you're thinking, what's the catch, right? What's the catch? But there's really no catch at all. It takes about 1 minute to pay $250. It's going to be deposited directly to your bank account. And the best part about it, you can use the cash for anything you want, from groceries, your gas, electric bill, or even if you just want, let's say, a little bit of extra money, the extra spending money on the weekend. This is for you. So make sure you check it out. It takes about 1 minute. You get $250. So click the link down below to get started.
What's up, guys and girls? So in this video, I want to talk about a theory I shouted out during my live reaction, and that's, did Thor tell us about Tyr's location at the start of God of War Ragnarok? I do think that the game started with Thor showing up at the front, similar to how God of War 18 ended back home, and it was about Thor showing up. In this video, I'll go over why I think Thor might have told us and what the purpose is. Let's get right into it. So first off, I think Thor told us where Tyr is located and that he's still alive. Why do I think this? First off, Mimir told us in God of War 2018 twice that Tyr is dead. So there is also that. See, Mimir says there that Tyr is dead. Now suddenly, after the Thor encounter, he now believes there's a chance Tyr could be alive because the body is never found. And second, the nature of Thor's appearance, asking are we calm and reasonable, seems like he's willing to talk first. I think a fight does happen because there's always like a big boss fight near the start of God of War games, but I think that he doesn't talk at first. I believe it's all one big manipulation tactic from Odin as he wants something for Tyr, but I'll get to that in a second. So after the Thor encounter, Atreus, Mimir, and Kratos suddenly are having a conversation. Atreus starts off by saying they need to stop Ragnarok, and they can start by saving Tyr. Kratos is of course skeptical about the information he has, but Mimir, being as far as he is, gives a logical explanation that maybe he could still be alive because the body was never found, which again is crazy because Mimir said twice in God of War 2018 that Tyr was dead. Which means we must have gotten new information to even want to leave Midgard and go to the realm of the dwarves. The fact is, this conversation is happening close to the ending of Fimbulwinter, which means that something had to happen to trigger this conversation. The only major event is that Thor actually appeared, which I think is more evidence that Thor might have actually said something to make us want to go to the realm of the dwarves in the first place. Speaking of that, how did we even get the travel crystal to even go there? And why did Odin suddenly decide to unlock Tyr's temple bridge to travel to other realms? We learned in lore and legends, Odin sealed all realm travel. I believe that this is all one massive manipulation scheme to free Tyr so Thor and Odin can kill him and get something from him, by using us to get him out of the realm of the dwarves. I think Odin's plan is to have Thor say where Tyr is and that he's alive, which sparks a conversation should he go. So we find the travel crystal. Odin, needing us to free Tyr, unlocks the realm travel for us to even go there. And I'm not saying he tells us this, I'm saying that we go there and the player, us, gets no explanation about why it's unlocked or why Tyr's temple works again. Odin, to keep up the illusion, doesn't tell any of his allies that are guarding Tyr's prison. He can't simply walk in there unless too many questions will be asked for him what the illegal. All the enemies are coming after us and Odin is letting us go in. I think ultimately us saving Tyr, bringing him back to Midgard is what's going to kill him. I think once we come back, Odin and Thor are going to be waiting for us. A battle ensues, which will lead to the death of Tyr. Again, I believe that this even happened very early in the game, because according to the mural at the end of God of War 2018, the next major event is Tyr dying. And Tyr dying is what's going to really start the game. Similar how 4 or 5 hours in God of War 2018 is when you finally get Tyr. I think once Tyr dies, it really puts the game to open up. So what's the reason? Why does Odin want Tyr now? I think it's to take the jewels in Tyr's eyes. I'm not sure if everybody noticed, but Tyr does have 2 of those jewels in both of his eyes. I have a theory why these jewels are so important. I'm going to save that for my next video. Now before I go, let's talk about Tyr's arm. This is an opinion I've been thinking for a little while now. I think Odin is the one to completely tear it off. In my opinion, it does not make sense for the wolves to bite off Tyr's arm in this timeline. In the traditional myth, which God of War obviously follow the traditional myth, Tyr knew Fenrir as a pup. He became close and Fenrir trusted Tyr until he became too damn big, and Odin ordered for him to be chained up. Tyr betrayed Fenrir. Fenrir said for someone to put their hand in his mouth. So if Fenrir could not break free, he'll chop off their hand, which Tyr did. However, in God of War, in this universe, Fenrir is already trapped and chained in Asgard. Everyone already knows Odin is the enemy, so why would any of the worlds fight Tyr's? Alright, so in my next video, I'm going to go into why I think Tyr's eyes are so different, and I think that this is world breaking, and I think this is how Odin's going to not die in Ragnarok because of his eyes. But I'm seeing all of that with that video that'll be out probably tomorrow or the next day. That is you guys and girls. Deuces.
Hi, I'm Chef. Wanna play?
Dave, it's a serious dog problem. If you don't hang it up, the dog just creeps me out.
Over the past several weeks, we've been releasing an abundance of content in regards to the
You want something? You let me know. Show me what you got. Done.
past release, we learned something new about the character. Whether it's a quote from a Marvel creator or a discovery we ourselves made, we are continually learning and adapting to bring you the best quality information possible. But sometimes it's you workers who actually bring something to our attention that we missed shortly after we released our video.
I'm out of here.
Vision, whether or not or we received notification from a fan that brought to light another exhibit. Thank you so much to our viewer, everyone. As we delve into additional evidence that Vision is far weaker than his Ultron corrupted counterpart was in What If, as we discover exactly why Vision was unable to cut Thanos in half and the real reason why. But last however, we see that the milestone is not only what it is. This is more one history on that Mind Stone forces Vision to change his density by controlling the stone directly. The stone in this turns red, subjugated to control of Vision. Vision is when Vision is killed by corpses, they insist that the blade stop. This implies that the blade may have interfered with his connection to the Mind Stone. And while this is admittedly speculative, we now have further evidence to support the idea that Vision's connection with the Mind Stone was disrupted. A loyal fan pointed out that this altercation between Vision and Thanos, wherein Thanos takes the Mind Stone, takes place not only after Vision has been stabbed, but after Shuri has begun to disconnect the Mind Stone from Vision.
All units, pursuit is called off. Abandon search and return to patrol. Repeat, pursuit is called off. Abandon search and return to patrol.
Or at least as much as it could. The holographic visuals in this scene actually show the steady progress that Shuri makes to complete this objective. And while she's ultimately unsuccessful, she still makes strides in disconnecting the neurons and connective tissue between the stone and Vision's head. It therefore stands to reason that he may not have been stone by either of them. But this reason
I've been waiting all day for this.
Somebody up to suspicious person on foot. Responding unit investigating. On scene, officers engaging with suspect. Respond with caution. Code 3-5. Suspicious person on foot. Responding unit investigating.
itself.
Available unit. Suspicious individual on foot. Officers investigating. Responding unit. Visual contact with suspect lost.
It may not have even been an option at all for Vision. Beyond the blade, the fact that the stone is attempting to be disconnected from Vision is the main reason why he did not utilize this ability. Now, we understand that the wide array of videos, each with their own sets of distinct evidence, but for the ease of reference and to make this as easy as possible for you, the viewer, to consume, the rest of this video will be devoted to all the reasons why Ultron was more powerful than Vision. This information has scattered around many of our previous videos, but we decided that one video with all the information in the same place would be a good idea. The primary reason outside of Vision's weakened physical state is the distinct personality differences between Ultron and Vision and the circumstances under which they encountered Thanos. While we recently released a whole video on this topic, we will be touching on the basic outline of this
Think I fucked up, yo.
The Vision is concerned with the peace and safety of not only his fellow teammates, but he understands the stakes of losing half of all life in the universe, and he has an emotional connection to these stakes that makes it personal for him on a level that Ultron simply cannot or even comprehend. Ultron simply lacks that part of his AI that makes him human. Since Ultron, however, does not have this restriction, he is not only willing and able to kill indiscriminately, but he is not at all concerned with the sanctity of human life. He is merely fascinated by the stones and the power that they can grant him, so he decides to
All units, search is called off. Repeat, abandoned search. Return to patrol.
murder without consideration or remorse. We also speculated that Vision was unsure of his abilities in the scene, given his impaired physical state and partially severed connection with the Mind Stone. According to our previous theory, he simply could not afford to take the risk of defeating Thanos at the potential cost of half of the universe. This is not to say that Vision wasn't able to kill Thanos, nor is it saying that he would be unwilling to. It is simply saying that he understood the cost of losing and how giving his life is the safest option available for him in this moment. Not wanting to take the chance of taking on Thanos one-on-one in his already weakened state. Not to mention the fact that we learned that Thanos in the universe where he's cut in half by Ultron is hugely overconfident, and that Thanos in the mainline universe truly is not. Meaning in most realities, Thanos with 5 assembled Infinity Stones defeats Vision with
This
1.
one's done in
The
a
head
lobster
lettuce
and
writer
butter
AC
sauce.
Bradley has also gone on record to clarify that this is only one of many different realities where Ultron and Thanos encountered one another. The writing team decided that for the best story possible, that they wanted to follow the universe in which Ultron was able to defeat Thanos with relative ease. This means that there are an unspecified amount of alternate realities throughout the multiverse where Thanos does in fact win this fight, and the outcome is very different. But this reality and the origin of Infinity Ultron had to be told using this set of circumstances. The set of circumstances in question, however, meant that Thanos had to be caught off guard, as his research on the planet Earth was highly outdated by the time he arrived on this little world. In this brief moment of confusion, Ultron was able to exploit his narrow opening to hit Thanos with a surprise attack that the Mad Titan was not expecting or anticipating, as he was in the midst of processing why this planet was so much different than the one that he researched. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of this new discovery and new piece of evidence? Do you think that this helps to explain another reason why Ultron killed Thanos, where in the Vision he did not? I do believe that this is the definitive answer why Vision did not even attempt to cut Thanos in half utilizing the Mind Stone. Again, there's so much going into the advantage of Ultron in this what-if scenario, but the big question that we're asking is why didn't Vision try to stop Thanos with the Mind Stone? And again, we believe that it is because Shuri was disconnecting Vision from it, and he was simply unable to use the power at all. Anyway though, are you satisfied with this explanation, or do you want more? In your opinion and in your interpretation, do you think the Vision from the mainline universe could have stopped the Thanos from the mainline universe at full strength? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and have a great day.
I'm trying to like Wait, I told these niggas don't want to go nowhere.
Wonder if he's over there.
Did that nigga hear me or something?
One of our guys is down. Too late to run. Got him.
Individual on foot. Officers investigating. On scene, officers
Oh,
engaging with suspect. Respond with caution.
All set to shoot. Slaughtering us. Hell's a coming. Many of us left.
Wu-Tang. It's the only way we can get to a better future.
What's gonna be different this time?
You are my brothers. We will make it. We want to make it.
Do we lose him? Shit.
Shots came from that away. You creeping around back here?
He clearly
Hey, yes, let's go.
Code 3-5. Suspicious person on foot. Responding unit investigating.
I see him. There he is.
Do it, Hoss.
Another cop.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. And with this video, we are jumping into X-Force, issue number 23. Now, I know I'm a little late with this issue, but I figure since we've been covering X-Men comics today, why not do a little bit of catch-up. Now, if you haven't been keeping up with X-Force, go ahead and check out the link in my description, as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with the X-Men. And we're not going to waste any time, we're going to jump right into this. So with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright, gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up in Siberia. And we are picking up with the man with the peacock tattoo. Now, that is literally what they are calling him. There isn't any kind of special name for him yet, just the man with the peacock tattoo. We just call it Peacock. Honestly, I think it's kind of one of the lamest things you can do. It really does remind me of like a corny James Bond film. And that's not to say I don't love James Bond. I absolutely love James Bond. But it definitely reminds me of that kind of monocle type guy. But right now, we are picking up in Siberia. And the man with the peacock tattoo, he is meeting up with Rasputin, the brother of Colossus. And this meeting is because Rasputin has wanted soldiers. And that's exactly what Peacock is bringing him. And unloading from the train, we see tons and tons of individuals unloading, but as Rasputin looks around, he realizes that this isn't everything he asked for. There was supposed to be much, much more soldiers, but due to him losing facilities to the X-Men, to X-Force, this is all that he could technically bring. But he promises Rasputin is not going to be disappointed once he sees these guys in action. And as he calls one of the soldiers over to him, this is when an ice bear attacks. Rasputin saying the only true predator of both man and mutant. But this is an opportunity to see these guys in full action. Because these guys, they have detachable hands. They can serve as some kind of flail or even a grappling hook. Not only that, they have switchblade bows, sleeved in the arms and legs. Not only that, but this bear bites one of them. With that bite, blood going into the system, it creates the nesting doll. And so from the stomach of this bear, we see another soldier pop out. Not only that, their eyeballs are detachable as well, so they can have some kind of surveillance. Now that's going to pick us up with Beast. And Beast is currently experimenting on one of these tiny little nesting dolls. The idea is that it was secure to all. When the Russians forced them in, they were supposed to just destroy everything so that there was no chance of the nesting doll coming back and popping out and just starting all back over. but Beast not being able to help himself, having to be able to experiment on this and see exactly what is inside of it. We see him start operating. He cuts it open, only to have another little poison jump out of it. Now he's able to put it into it, not believing that this is even possible. He squashes that little dude like an ant. And he goes over, he starts washing his hands, getting everything situated, getting ready to continue what he was doing, only to feel something going into his ear canal. And Beast, he knows automatically what this is. He knows that one of these little buggers has gotten inside of his head, and he knows that if he doesn't get it out in time, that he is going to be dead. He is going to be used as a nesting doll, and this whole invasion is going to restart. Now, picking back up in Siberia, Rasputin and the Peacock Man are having a conversation, and this conversation is really along the lines of Rasputin not being happy. You know, Rasputin, he's trying to create a world where Russia is the dominant. All of Russia, all of Russia's mutants are joined in one fight together. Though, of course, Peacock Man, he doesn't really care about any of this. He cares about the money that Rasputin is giving him. But he has to ask the question, why do you care to protect and preserve this snowy wasteland? And in an instant, we see them dropped into a pocket dimension. The Peacock Man not knowing what is going on, not knowing what is happening. Rasputin lets him know that he can refer to this as his personal gulag, because he came here with only a fraction of what was promised. And because he broke the deal, he is going to have to pay for it. And so he leaves him down here in this dark nothingness, leaving him here to think about what he did. Now, picking back up with Beast, right now he is panicked. He is freaking out because he knows that one of these things are inside of him. He knows that it's inside. He does a test to ensure that he knows, recognizing that it's inside of him and he needs help immediately. He runs over to Sage. Running over to Sage, he lets her know that he needs Black Tom. He needs Black Tom, and he needs him right freaking now. And that's where we start to see his nose bleed. And it's only going to be a matter of time before Beast is taken over and killed. Not only that, we're going to see him as a nesting doll if Black Tom is not able to do whatever needs to be done. Now, picking back up with Rasputin and Pale Girl, they were hoping that they could get those logic crystals because they have the Cerebro sword. And those were supposed to help power and decrypt the sword. And at this point, he's been growing impatient. They are so close to the war that they want, the war that is about to come. And he's growing more and more impatient every single day. But things aren't going the way he wants. Russia is not the power that it could be, but he knows what it could be. And so he says that it's time to write a new chapter. And so he makes his way to Moscow, to the Kremlin, and he gives a speech to all the military leaders, to all of the political leaders, telling them that they will endure anything. Nothing will break them, not even Krakoa. Now that's what takes us to Beast. And he takes Black Tom into the Shadow Room, and he shows Black Tom more or less the inner workings of the inside of Beast, showing him this on a 3D scale. Black Tom wants a little bit more information on this individual that has burrowed himself inside of Beast. But Black Tom is more or less an expert in this because Black Tom has had one of those individuals inside of him. He was able to get it out, and he even kept it in a jar for quite some time. But Beast, he curls over, and he says that he needs Wee Tom. He needs the little guy. He needs some kind of help. And so Black Tom activating his powers, we see some green come out of his mouth. And from this green comes the little Wee Tom. As he leaps into Beast's nose, jumping into his sinus system, jumping into his circulatory system, he is about to take on this little Russian nesting doll. Now that's what picks us up with Rasputin. And it appears that he is locked away inside of this little pocket universe. But it's not the Peacock Man that is here. It is an individual that goes by the name of Chronicler. And Rasputin lets him know that the Kremlin, everybody, will love the speech that he wrote. Because the speech that he gave was written by him. And he's come to thank him, but also let him know that he needs to write something else. Now, this guy is obviously a prisoner here, but he has no other choice. Being stuck in this pocket universe, having no way to escape, he is 100% under the thumb of Rasputin. And so with his ink and quill, he begins to write down everything that Rasputin wants. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. You know, it's been highly speculated who this chronicler is for quite some time, believing it to be something Mayweather. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but it was believed that it might be her. Of course, that was just speculation, and now we're seeing that it's not the case. We're seeing that it's more than likely a completely new character, and to the extent of his abilities, we cannot be sure. But obviously, he has some kind of prominence. He's of some kind of importance if Rasputin is keeping him hidden away in this pocket universe. Now, the Peacock Man is also in a pocket universe, and we have assumed for a long time that he's a bad dude, not someone you would want to mess with. But obviously, coming against a force like Rasputin does not care even a little bit, and we might see that come back to bite him in the butt, because we truly don't know the extent, the power, the reach of the Peacock Man. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.
That one of us?
In partnership with Best Buy.
Hey guys, welcome back to Switch. What's up, guys? Heyo, buenos dias.
Starting a vlog channel is tough. You might fall down, you might screw up, but the recording might feel defeated. Don't let it stop. You don't need everything figured out.
If you're walking in the rain now, kind of stressing me out though.
You just need to start. Head over to Best Buy to get gear like the Canon M50 Mark II Shure microphone and the Sunpack lighting. Get started with your vlog channel today.
We make USAA Classic checking for members like Sam. He goes wherever life takes him without breaking the bank. With reimbursed ATM fees nationwide, he can hang on to more money for his next adventure. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. Welcome to Mojo Plays, and today we're taking a look at everything we know about God of War Ragnarok.
Well, some of them.
Finally, after all of this time waiting, the gates to Valhalla, Sony Santa Monica, have blessed us with more information regarding Kratos' next outing. What are you most excited for about this sequel? Let us know in the comments below. Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. It's the end of the world! Again.
What if the only way to do that is war?
When we last left off, Kratos and his son had finally made it to Jotunheim and spread his wife's ashes. After returning home, Mimir mentions the long and cold Fimbulwinter before a raging storm arrives. Outside of their home stands a not-so-mysterious figure, donning a cloak and an all-too-familiar hammer. Ragnarok picks up sometime after the encounter, where Atreus is now a teenager, and Kratos is, well, still dad of a boy. Not only will they have to take on Thor, but Freya is still out there, plotting her revenge for her son's death. As for the King of the Gods, Odin, well, we'll get to him in a little bit.
Are you a calm and reasonable person?
Notable names.
My story doesn't end hiding in these woods. I should be out there, finding out who I am, who Loki is.
As one would expect, Christopher Judge and Sonny Soljic will be reprising their roles as Kratos and Atreus, respectively. Mimir, Brock, Sindri, and Freya will also be voiced by the same actors from the previous game.
And if those answers lead to war with Asgard?
Maybe that's what Mother wanted.
Thor, on the other hand, will be played by Ryan Hurst, who folks may remember from the critically acclaimed FX series Sons of Anarchy and Universal's TV series Bates Motel. Famed voice actor and YouTuber Sungwon Cho will be playing a squirrel named Ratato Skur. Speaking of YouTubers, Alana Pierce, known for her work across gaming media, is also one of the writers on the team.
having joined Sony Santa Monica back in late 2020. So rest assured, Ragnarok is going to be one hellheim of a finale. Recycled assets.
Well, I'd recognize that dour expression anywhere.
One topic that has been floating around and causing discourse is the similarities between boat animations. Folks, this is nothing to be alarmed about. Recycled assets is quite a common practice across game development, and this is done to save developers time and keep the budget from overinflating. Come in!
What in all yarns may that happen to?
As a bonus, this also helps get the game out somewhat quicker than it would if they had to build everything from the ground up yet again. The only differences one may notice are small things like tighter animations, controls, and spruced up visuals. To see Sony Santa Monica employ this same practice is actually relieving, as it reduces a bit of the load on their already hectic schedules. Plus, come on guys, there's more important things to worry about than recycled boat animations. Come on.
Well, brothers, I've been to many strange places, but this will be a new one.
Yeah.
Tyr. One prediction that has been floating around since the previous game was that Kratos was also a Force figure known as Tyr. This theory was bolstered by a mural in the game that depicted Tyr as a traveler between worlds, those worlds being the Greek, Norse, Egyptian, and Mayan pantheons. As we saw in the trailer, Kratos and Tyr appear to be two separate individuals. Given their different heights and appearances, it's safe to assume that the Kratos is Tyr theory has most likely been debunked now. Either that, or there's some weird Back to the Future stuff happening here, and Kratos is just looking at a future version of this. But what are the odds of that actually being the case?
What'd you find?
Enough distraction. I forget why we are here.
They know.
Stop thinking like a father for a moment and start thinking like a general.
Those who played the previous game will remember the 50-something ravens Kratos needed to find. Now, was it just us, or did something about those ravens' locations feel a bit odd? One can presume that Odin had been using these ravens to keep a close eye on Kratos, not just Atreus, and there's evidence that the Nordic gods know very well of Kratos' past from start to finish.
And right under Odin's nose, ho ho ho!
Thor even hints at their knowledge in the trailer, asking the ghost of Sparta if he is as much a calm and reasonable man as he appears to be. We all know that isn't the case, of course, and after seeing how easily Baldur was able to provoke Kratos, it seems Ragnarok will force Kratos to reveal all to his son. Huffing that Dearest was not the only dog deed done, boy.
The cycle ends here. Must be better than this.
Different director, familiar face. 2018's God of War propelled its director, Cory Barlog, into a celebrity-like status within industry and media circles, and because of that kind of fame, many of us expected Barlog to helm Ragnarok. After all, whenever we've heard about the game specifically, we've heard it from him. However, that is no longer the case.
All yarns be the happen to it.
We're trying to stop Ragnarok, to help people.
Instead, Evan Williams is serving as the game's creative director. In case you aren't super deep into games media, Williams is not a new face to the franchise, as he has worked on God of War since the very first game back in 2005. So Kratos and Atreus are in good hands. As for Barlog, he is supposedly not in any directorial role currently at Sony Santa Monica. According to him, SSM operates in a way where the director's chair is always rotating, Barlog being the only one to take the mantle more than once. So that mysterious open-world fantasy game is being led by somebody else in the studio. Who could it possibly be?
Well, some of them.
Cross-gen.
Ready. Go.
With the PlayStation 5 now out to the public, in some way, shape, or form, folks were expecting to see God of War be one of the many franchises to lead PlayStation fans into the new generation. Unfortunately, this is no longer the case.
In June 2021, it was announced that a few upcoming titles were being turned into cross-gen titles, meaning they will release on PlayStation 5 as well as PlayStation 4. Those titles were Gran Turismo, Horizon Forbidden West, and, of course, God of War Ragnarok.
I will not allow you to make a fighting god.
Because of this, folks are rightfully concerned about Ragnarok not taking full advantage of the PS5's hardware, specifically because the game is also being developed for PS4. While there is a chance that we'll have to see those same old loading tricks, like riding elevators, shimmying between ledges and cracks, nothing has really been said on the matter, nor has there been a glimpse of it. So, only time will tell.
Would this help?
We'll have to savor it.
What do you think?
It looked weirder than any war I've ever seen.
Get after it then.
If you were expecting there to be a Norse trilogy in the same manner we got the Greek trilogy, well, you might be a tad disappointed. Ragnarok will be the final entry in the Norse storyline, but there is a reason for this. A couple of weeks after the game's reveal, Barlog explained that the team didn't want to spend 15 years working on a trilogy. The math adds up too, as 2018's God of War spent 5 long years in development.
That's us. The first time we met the world serpent.
In the end, the team found ways to wrap up the story in a better way that'll allow them to deliver a quality story while moving on to something different. That being said, it'll be quite some time before we see Kratos again once Ragnarok is out. Perhaps this will give another one of Sony's studios, like Days Gone developer Bend Studio, a chance to continue the tale of the Ghost of Sparta with a different mythological theme. Please be Egypt. Please. I want to see Kratos going after Ra and Anubis. That'd be awesome.
This path you walk, vengeance, you will find no peace. I know.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.
You may have heard that there are 4 incredible new iPhones. I want to tell you about them and help you understand the differences between them. There's iPhone 13 mini and iPhone 13, which have the most advanced dual camera system in an iPhone and come in 5 colors. As well as iPhone 13 Pro and iPhone 13 Pro Max, which have our biggest camera update ever and comes in 4 colors. I'm going to walk through some exciting new features available on all 4 new iPhones. All the iPhones come with amazing new camera features like cinematic mode, improved low-light performance, and photographic styles, as well as other great features like ceramic shield, the powerful new A15 Bionic chip, super fast 5G, and longer battery life. We'll also touch on some features only available on iPhone 13 Pro and iPhone 13 Pro Max, like Super Retina XDR display with Pro Motion, macro photography, and 3x optical zoom on the telephoto camera. Like these colors myself. After you learn about the new iPhones, it'll help you decide which is the right one for you. You can always jump to any of the chapters below if you want to skip ahead. Alright, let's get going. With all the new iPhones, the videos you take will be next level, and one of the most exciting new features shared across all the iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pro models is cinematic mode. To create this feature, Apple studied the art of cinematography and developed cinematic mode, which lets you add a depth of field effect and dynamic focus transitions automatically, giving you the power to create videos with amazing Hollywood-level polish, just like cinemas. This looks great. Do you mind? Okay. Thanks. We're going to add some drama to this scene using cinematic mode. Let's see what this looks like using the new iPhone 13. To use this feature, open the camera and select cinematic. Quiet on set. Ready? And action. By selecting cinematic mode, your iPhone will automatically detect a person, object, even pets, bringing them into focus.
The current runtime of Spider-Man No Way Home has yet to be
confirmed. However, according to CinemaBlend, we are hearing rumors that the runtime could be around 150 minutes long, or 2.5 hours. For reference, Avengers Endgame was approximately 3 hours and 10 minutes long with credits, with Infinity War being 2 hours and 29 minutes long. Obviously, just 1 minute off for 2.5 hours. Obviously, Spider-Man No Way Home is still currently being edited, which means the runtime right now is simply conjecture and rumor, and we can only make an educated guess. However, again, according to a lot of these reports, the runtime of No Way Home is around 2.5 hours long, but to make it like we said, not the overall runtime of No Way Home, but rather the runtime having the screen time of Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Tobey and Andrew being Home is the worst kept secret in most of this review. Many fans are eager to make Andrew and Tobey will only be No Way Home in the screen of the universal aspect of the film. Not to mention, thanks to the trailer, we already have several Raimi villains confirmed to appear in No Way Home, including Doc Ock as well as the Goblin. According to this report, though, the runtime for the two Spider-Man in No Way Home will be approximately 4 years long together, which is pretty good. At this point in time, there are various rumors that suggest that this could be Andrew Garfield's last outing as Spider-Man from his universe. However, there are also reports that Spider-Man 4 is currently in development over at Sony with an Warner and potentially even Sam Raimi, with Sam Raimi to return to the Spider-Man movies that he established all the way back in 2002. Incomplete story, with Sony being allowed to release their own Spider-Man movies somewhat separate from the MCU, having few running Spider-Man franchises at the same time. Although 40 minutes with the combined screen time of the two Spider-Men does not seem like a lot off the top, it actually is quite substantial when we look at other characters and their appearances in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. 40 minutes is actually a ton of screen time for a character. In Avengers Endgame, Tony Stark only appeared for 31 minutes of the movie, with Captain America Steve Rogers appearing for around 31 minutes. But again, presumably the 40 minutes of screen time will be shared between the two Spider-Men. So let's look at some characters that appeared for roughly 20 minutes in Avengers Endgame. In Endgame, Black Widow appeared for roughly 16 minutes and Hawkeye for 18 minutes, with Bruce Banner being locked in at even 20 minutes, meaning it's reasonable to assume that both Tobey and Andrew will have roughly the same amount of screen time as Banner did in Endgame. Here's another number that will hopefully put a lot of fans' minds at ease. Thanos, in Avengers Infinity War, only appears for roughly 30 minutes in the film, with many people considering Infinity War to be Thanos' movie, which of course it is, being mainly told from his perspective, and the Avengers almost spoiled as the antagonist. 40 minutes of shared screen time in a 2.5 hour long movie is actually a ton. Again, though, take this with a grain of salt, as these are currently the reports floating around, and it is possible that a lot of the screen time could in fact be cut. Even if it is cut, though, around 15 minutes of screen time for Tobey and Andrew is still substantial. But anyway, my friend, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on the various reports and rumors going around of the screen time for Andrew and Tobey? Do you think that 40 minutes combined screen time is enough for the two characters? Is it more than enough, or do you want to see more? As always, if you want to stay up to date with everything No Way Home related on brand new news and updates, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you in this video.
Are you interested in buying yourself some Marvel merch? Some amazing figures with your favorite character on it, like Spider-Man. Okay. And Venom. Go click the link in my description box now and get some awesome discounts from 20% up to 60% off. They offer you free worldwide shipping on orders over $39.90. So, what are you waiting for? Link in the description.
I'm Heather Manning, and I'm partnered with Best Buy to share some vlogging equipment that you need to start a vlog channel. So let's start out with a camera, and this is the Canon M50 Mark II. It does have a flip out screen, which is really important. Getting a good microphone is a must. This is the Shure VP83. It's going to reduce the sound from any unwanted noise. Sunpack 19-inch ring light, it can go from 10% the whole way up to 100%. And the last thing I want to share with you guys is the Adobe Premiere Pro, which is an editing software. Make sure you shop everything I mentioned at Best Buy today.
We make USAA Bank for members like Cassie. She's practical and always gets the most bang for her buck. USAA Bank helps Cassie get more of her money with no monthly service fees. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. Now, with this video, we are jumping into Excalibur, issue number 24. And if you haven't been keeping up with the Excalibur line, go ahead, check out the link in my description, as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on in this line. And this issue is huge. This issue is the trial of Captain Britain. Now, right now, the UK has been working with the Coven, working with Merlin and Morgan Le Fay. These individuals, all working together, are trying to expel mutants from other worlds. We have seen mutants openly being attacked, calling them friends of Mordred. And that is because Mordred himself is in fact a mutant. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright, gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up in the Vampire Nation, in the Vampire Kingdom in Otherworld. And right now, Captain Britain is sitting down and having a glass of wine with the two regents of this sector. And that's because their Furies were shouting accusations that they are friends of Mordred. That while they may be mutants, while Mordred may be a mutant and they share the same mutant gene, he is no friend to mutant kind. Just as Morgan Le Fay is also not a friend to mutant kind. But as it stands, mutant kind is becoming extremely unpopular. Tons and tons of kingdoms in other worlds are starting to reject that mutant kind even has a place there in other worlds. But the reason that she is here is that she was attacked on her family's land. And so through proxy, this is an attack, this is an act of war on Avalon. Now these guys, they talk in circles, they talk in metaphors, they talk about their immortality, they talk about a whole bunch of stuff, but they don't actually give her an answer. But there is somebody here in the Vampire Kingdom that might be able to answer that question for me. But that's when we're taken to the crooked one. And right now, Gambit, he's kind of, making side deals with people inside the market, trying to get some ore, trying to get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, exchanging golds for goods, so on and so forth. But that's when Mad Jim shows up. And Mad Jim is really just telling him, why are you working in my market when you're not licensed to do so? You're not licensed to sit here and sell goods, so you're doing this illegally. You're breaking the rules of the market. And of course, Gambit, trying to be slick, trying to be sly, tells him, if there's something you need, I can bring it back, especially with the gate being closed down, people not being able to go to Earth or Krakoa or anything like that. Right now, it's a hard time. And so if you need something, I can bring it to you. Now, of course, Mad Jimmy finds this as an insult, because if he simply wanted tea or anything, he could just make it happen. He's a puppet master of the very threads of reality. And so there's absolutely nothing that he could ever want or ask for that Gambit could give him that he couldn't get himself. And he tells Gambit that this is your final warning. If I catch you trying to sell and work your angles in this market again, it will be the last time I ever have to say anything to you. And as he goes to walk off, he asks him if he's even concerned, if Mad Jim is concerned with the idea of mutants getting kicked out of other worlds. Now, of course, he's not concerned with this, because he's a very, very wealthy individual. Not only that, but he's a reality warper. So this threat from any kingdom or any place, he's not concerned about, because it's either going to affect the poor, or it's going to affect the less powerful. Either way, he has no concerns over it. And that's what takes us to the Floating Kingdom. Now, this Floating Kingdom is more of a sanctuary than anything else. This place isn't necessarily going to be in the war, or at least we can assume that it's not going to be affected by everything happening down on the surface. And Jubilee has come here because she needs a safe haven for Shogo. Too afraid that Dragonfire is going to be hugely sought after if there is a war that happens. If war breaks out between Otherworld, between mutants and the other individuals in Otherworld, Jubilee is terrified that the dragon will be used against them. Captured, killed, something of that manner. And so she has come to Lady Roma, and she has done this in some kind of effort to be able to protect him, to have some kind of safe haven if things ever do kick off. Not only that,
but it is just a great place for a dragon to be able to fly and go out and do all of these freeing things that a dragon should be able to do. But that's all going to happen in due time, because right now Jubilee just is not ready to give this up. Not ready to give up her best friend. And so while this will definitely happen eventually, for the time being, they are going to be in each other's company. And then we're picking up in the province of Dryador. Shatterstar, Richter, and Bay the Blood Moon have all come here just to see if someone has set up shop here. But as they drive through, this place is a boneyard, an absolute wasteland. Because the Iraqi people, the Iraqi mutants, they burn their seas with hellfire. They scorch this land, and it appears that nothing has ever returned to grow back. And though we haven't seen Apocalypse a lot, we haven't seen him at all, actually, since the Ten of Swords event happened. But we do know that he is with his wife, and he is in Ameth. And we know that because they're talking about it. They're having a conversation about how they're not going to open this gate up because it's not something Apocalypse would want. And that is what's going to take us to Captain Britain and Death.
Here.
These two having it out, but it's just sparring. And while they have this sparring match, telepathically, Captain Britain starts talking to Death, asking him if he knows anything about what is going on, why they are being attacked. With him living in the Vampire Kingdom, he might be one of the few individuals that's going to have knowledge on what's going on. And Death lets her know, like, what more clarification do you need? They sent an assassin after you. That's it. That's all you need to know right there. But Captain Britain wants to know, is this an attack against me, or is this an attack against Avalon? But Death erases the possibility that it might not be the regions that are sitting people after you. Right now, there is discourse throughout the entirety of other people, and it's very possible that the regions are trying to save face because they don't know who sent these assassins after you. They could very well be in the midst of their own coup. And that's because everybody is being affected by mutants in one way or another, whether it be good or bad. That is the sentiment that is going around right now. Now, of course, Captain Britain doesn't understand why Death is not also being targeted, considering he is a mutant. Now, Death's not entirely sure that they understand that they understand the concept that Death is in fact a mutant, an X-gene, so on and so forth. But he's also not someone to hide it. And he's also not an individual that will not defend mutant kind. And as Captain Britain goes to leave, she says the Storm was right about you. Now, of course, this piques Death's interest because Death has been interested in Storm since the moment he laid eyes on her. And hearing the simple thing that Storm talks about and remembers him is a huge deal to him. Captain Britain ensuring that she will say hi for him to Storm. And as Captain Britain goes to get out of it, he learns very quickly that she has some hostiles drilling right behind her. The Furies coming in directly behind them. And so while the regions, they try to save face, it is very obvious that war is coming. War is about to break out. And picking up later that evening, we have Team Excalibur meeting up, getting ready to go to the Citadel. And she tells her team that you might enjoy this time, enjoy this night, because this might be the last night of peace that we have for a very, very long time. And that's what picks us up at the trial of the false Captain Britons. And you have three multiversal anomalies. You have Captain Britain, Richard, Captain Britain, Gambit, and Captain Britain Rogue. And with Saturn IX being the judge, all of the Captain Britons have made their way here, and Captain Britain of Earth 616 is going to be the one that speaks for everybody. And addressing everyone, she knows these Captain Britons, they have been unjustly on trial since the moment of their creation. They ought to be hailed as heroes because their personalities are not true, and they only wish to continue serving for the greater good, serving the greater reality of Otherworld. And even at this moment, many of these Captain Britons that stand in this room are outranked by these Captain Britons. And so she's simply asking that they be spared. But in the midst of her conversation, this is when things go sideways. The Captain Britons, they all attack one individual. Proclaiming to be unhand, the Captain Britons will not do so, because this individual has been threatening Saturnine, has been threatening the Citadel, and that individual is Merlin. But Merlin has come because he says he brings a witness, one to speak on the dangers of mutant kind. Now, of course, Saturnine didn't want to hear it. They heard his testimony, and she wants to know he is not welcome in this Citadel. But of course, he is not the witness he brings. The witness he brings is King Arthur, father to Mordred, forgotten king of Avalon. And with him seeing mutants on his throne, mutant Captain Britain, and mutants feeling the Starlight Citadel, Arthur has come for some kind of answers. And with him, he has brought the entirety of his army. Now, Saturnine lets Merlin know that Arthur, he's been gone for years, and Otherworld as a whole has been truly better for it. And so we see our Captain Britain. She wants to go parlay with Arthur. She wants to try to avoid any kind of war, but of course she's not going to go out there alone. With Arthur wanting the Captain Britain Corps, bringing it down to its knees, she's going to bring out her other team. She's going to bring out Excalibur. And as Captain Britain makes her way down to the ground, she introduces herself to King Arthur, and she lets him know that Merlin is trying to declare war against the Starlight Citadel on your behalf because your son Mordred is a mutant. But King Arthur, he has another story to tell, saying that Mordred, his son, was the rightful heir to the throne, that he should have been king, he should have followed in his footsteps. The only issue is, he is a mutant, and because he is a mutant, that means my son will more than likely choose mutant kind over his own father. And this is what Merlin showed him, disbelieving that his son would ever betray him for anything or anyone. After being shown the mutants, after being shown that Mordred would in fact betray him for mutant kind, this is what sent Arthur on a warpath. This is why he wants mutants exiled from other worlds. And so with the logic is, if he kills all of the mutants, there is nobody for his son to turn to. Nobody except for him. And with that, we see the battle break out, with Arthur and Captain Britain clashing swords. The rest of Team Excalibur jump into the fray. As this fight starts to take off, we see Captain Avalon and a bunch of the other Captain Britons make their descent down here. Now, of course, Betsy, she wants her family to be taken out of here, so they're safe and not in harm's way. But they have come to let her know that they are here to fight with her, side by side against Arthur. And with the forces reforming up, Captain Britain lets Arthur know, one last time, that Merlin is currently captive by the captains up in the Citadel. That if Arthur is to leave, they will return him. He will remain on the council, but he is not allowed inside the Citadel. That he will have to send a proxy anytime he wishes to discuss anything inside of the Citadel. That she has tried for so long to make mutants not the enemy, so that people in Otherworld did not fear mutants. But today she is making a proclamation, telling Arthur that if his army takes one more step forward, they will all be destroyed. And of course, Arthur doesn't care. He has come for one thing, and that is to exterminate all of mutant kind. And as the battle wages down on the ground, up in the Citadel, Merlin is laughing, he's cackling, saying this is the beginning. This is the beginning of Otherworld's war. That you can't stop this war, you can't fix it now. Kingdoms are going to choose sides. Every kingdom is going to decide, is the witch breed worth keeping here? Do they belong in Otherworlds, or do they belong banished forever? And in an instant, we see Merlin disappear, with Merlin vanishing into thin air. They no longer have any kind of leverage. And this war wages on underneath the Citadel. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. There was a crap ton that happened in this issue. But really, this is the build-up to the war. The war that is supposed to be engulfing all of Otherworld. With Arthur being manipulated by Merlin. With Mordred being a mutant. Arthur felt like he had no other choice but to wage war. Now, obviously, Arthur isn't a great guy in the Marvel Universe. He's definitely someone that has caused more problems in Otherworld than ever before. He Even Saturn 9 said, it's been great since you have been gone. But now with his return, it throws everything into chaos. With things already bordering when it comes to witch breed, when it comes to mutants, Arthur is that straw that breaks the camel's back. He is the individual that ignites this fire. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell. Make sure you don't miss any of the awesome content we have coming out. And until the next breakdown.
Disciples, today I have finally returned to take my revenge. And this time, the fight will not be on equal terms. So terror and chaos wherever we go. And we will crush these humans like the vermin they are. I am the devil. It's time for me to take back my rightful place. Welcome to hell, mortals.
Big shot pies. Only at Aldi.
On my way. Call me if you need me.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. Now, with this video, we're going to be jumping into some Hellions, issue number 16. And if you haven't been keeping up with this line, go ahead and check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on in this line. And in this issue, we are seeing the aftermath of everything that Sinister has been doing, creating this new murder world. This is a location that he used to create his new cloning farm. After it's discovered, after everything is found out, the Hellions make their way here, with Tarn the Uncaring, everything going sideways. There was only one way to get out of this, and that was for Empath to overload Havoc. In doing this, we see the entire facility come crumbling down. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, we are picking up at Brooklyn, New York. And right now, the Hellions, they are scattered everywhere because Havoc just went nuclear. He went into his chaos mode and everything came crumbling down. The cloning facility has been brought to its knees, and the destruction of this facility, it has huge ramifications, specifically for Psylocke, because Sinister has been keeping her daughter here, keeping her DNA here, keeping it as hostage so he can use her as a puppet. And with this facility now being destroyed, any chance of finding or saving or resurrecting her daughter have been extinguished. And as all of our mutants start to gain consciousness, you can tell everyone is livid. Grey Crow, more specifically, because he told Empath, if you were to ever do something like this again, that he was going to rip his freaking heart out. With Nanny being absolutely furious, she picks up a weapon and she walks over to Sinister, and she is ready to just saw his head clean the heck off. With the clone Sinister being able to make his escape, Nanny is about ready to behead this Sinister. That is, until the X-Men show up. With the X-Men coming to the rescue, that's what takes us back to Krakoa in the Healing Gardens. And right now, the entire team of the Hellions are all trying to get themselves patched up. Now, everybody doesn't really know what happened. Outside of the Hellions, they're the only ones that know the specific details on how all of this transpired. The only thing they truly know is that Alex is just extremely beat up. Not only that, but Psylocke seems to be hiding something. Her and Sinister working very closely together. They're thinking that it could be possible that Sinister is manipulating her or using her in some manner. And so Emma Frost wants Cyclops to talk to her one-on-one. And with Sinister being a council member, they can't really throw some cuffs on him and put him in solitary confinement. They need to keep up some kind of appearances. And so what they decide to do is to lock him in his room, at least for the time being, until they can figure out what can be done about him. But more than anything, what this is looking like
Guess I
It
gotta
looks
go
like
in
the
guns blazing,
Hellions
y'all.
have
Can't go in
finally
sneaking.
broken up. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. After everything that just happened, this team cannot agree. They can't even look at each other right now. Everybody is just absolutely devastated. More so over is because everybody knows what Psylocke just lost to this. And so we see each of the members head off in their own direction, going off to do their own thing. And with Psylocke heading out, she runs into Cyclops. And they have a conversation because right now, Psylocke is really believing that she's done with Boa, she's done with the Hellions, she's done with all of this. That she's going to go out there, she's going to meet death, and maybe one day it'll take her. She was hoping with the birth of her child, with the rebirth of her child, that she would be able to wash away her sins, that Krakoa would give her a new start, that this would be a new beginning for both of them. But that's simply not the case. Now with having no DNA strands, no way of bringing her back. And this was a council decision to keep an eye on Sinister like this. Emma Frost ensured that Empath would do the right thing when it is done. The only issue is they came at the cost of Psylocke's child, which she doesn't blame the council. While it was definitely their decision to enact all of this, at the end of the day, she holds herself responsible. She blames herself for everything that has transpired. And there's not much Cyclops can say to her to keep her here. Her mind is mostly made up at this point, and she's ready to go face the evil in the world and hope that one day death comes knocking at her door. And that's what takes us to the White Palace. Emma Frost currently having a discussion with Havoc, letting him know that he's no longer part of the Hellions, that he doesn't have to work for them anymore, that he is now 100%. Of course, this is what he has wanted all along, but he didn't want it at the cost of Psylocke's daughter. He is really beating himself up right now. But Emma Frost goes a step further, as a more or less thank you for what he did, even though it is really Empath triggering him. Emma Frost has asked that Madeline Pryor be resurrected, and with her saying goodbye to him, with him walking out of the room, this is where we see Empath come out from hiding. And of course, Emma Frost is going to congratulate him, because he did exactly what he was needed to do, exactly what Emma Frost wanted him to do. And he knows Grey Crow is out there wanting to murder him right now. Probably all of the Hellions are gunning for him, and so he wants to kind of hide out inside of the White Palace, at least for the time being, until things calm down, until people aren't going to be hunting for him. And so with Emma Frost making her leave, we see the Empath, he's been putting on a brave face this entire time, because the reality of the situation is the Hellions are the only real friends that he has had, and Emma Frost just made him betray him, losing every friend that he could have, now being completely alone and having nobody. Empath may put on a great facade, but at the end of the day, this man is truly alone. And we can see how much it actually affects him when he is sitting there by himself with only his own thoughts. We see the true sorrow inside of his eyes. Now, of course, Grey Crow, he's back and he is working, getting ready to go on the hunt of his life, because he is going to bring down Empath. He told Empath not to do his tricks. He told him that if he ever put this team in danger again, that he was going to come for him. And now that time has come. But he's not just going to kill him in the sense that he be resurrected. Once he kills Empath, he's going back to Cerebro, and he is going to melt down any backup there is of Empath. He is going to ensure that Empath never returns, and he doesn't care what the consequences are. Picking up with Nanny back on her ship, picking up with this baby that she adopted, this completely synthetic gray-looking baby. She is sitting here, been raising it, been taking care of, keeping an eye on it. But as she sits here in the ship playing with the baby, this is when the system goes online, and we see the good old Dr. Harold, prior husband to Nanny, aka Eleanor. And what we have seen is Harold has been able to hack into the ship, to take control of everything, letting Nanny know that she belongs to the right. This ship belongs to the right, and that baby belongs to the right, and he is going to take everything from Nanny. And with the robotic arms inside the ship going haywire, starting to attack Nanny, separating her from the baby. We see the ship system start to go online, and we see the baby taken and put into the escape pod. Being put in that pod, it is jettisoned into space. We can only assume this is for the right to retrieve it, and this is going to have huge ramifications later on. Now that they have this baby back, they're going to be able to replicate it, to clone it, and continue on their work. But the Doctor has much deeper plans, much more sinister plans, because not only does he want that baby, he wants all the babies in the mutant orphanage, but he doesn't want to take them. He wants to take this ship and crash it directly into that orphanage. And with Nanny pinned down, having no other option, we see the defense system go online. We see the self-destruct system start operating. And Nanny, she is about to do exactly what she is supposed to do. She is supposed to take care of those babies. And by all means, sure that happens. And with the press of a button, the entire ship detonates. And with the ship going up in flames, Orphan Maker running over trying to ensure that Nanny is still alive. With Nanny standing up, Nanny just beats the crap out of Orphan Maker. Previously telling Orphan Maker to get away from me, but now asking, why weren't you here? Why weren't you here faster to help me save that baby and do what you're supposed to be doing? And slapping Orphan Maker around just a little bit more, saying that he's no longer a child, that he's a man, and he needs to start acting like it. Orphan Maker running off. This could have some huge ramifications, because Nanny has been physically and mentally abusing Orphan Maker for quite some time. Orphan Maker literally just wanting someone to look up to love, to cherish, to hold, and to care for them. A mother figure. But in Nanny's sorrows, she has a very well broken Orphan Maker, and now she has no idea what he's about to do. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I think this is a really great issue. We're seeing the aftermath of Sinister finally making this team break, taking this team to that end and just pushing them over. And every one of them has broken. From Impact to Nanny, we're seeing each one of the team members having such a hard time trying to figure out what to do next. Now that the Hellions have essentially broken up, each of them going in their own directions, we can only assume that chaos will soon be engulfing all of Krakoa now that they are all on the warpath. And the most dangerous of them all being Orphan Maker. When it comes to the writing, I feel like this one was really on point. You really did feel the emotion, the trauma that they're going through, seeing the sorrow inside of Empath's eyes, understanding how broken Havoc is, how broken Psylocke is, how angry Grey Crow is. This comic did an amazing job of really highlighting how these characters react to trauma, how they handle it, how they deal with it, how they try to cope with it. Yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.
Keep looking. Here's somebody. Slip behind it. Right down here. Somebody help. Fire. Get me to a goddamn hospital. Yeah. Say goodnight to the asshole.
That's why I'm helping protect my son from some cancers, like certain cancers caused by HPV. For most people, HPV clears on its own, but for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers. Gardasil 9 is the only vaccine that helps protect adults through age 45 against certain diseases caused by HPV, including cervical, vaginal, vulvar, anal, and certain head and neck cancers, such as throat and back of mouth cancers, and genital warts. Gardasil 9 doesn't protect everyone, and does not treat cancer or HPV infection. Your doctor may recommend screening for certain HPV-related cancers. Women still need routine cervical cancer screenings. You shouldn't get Gardasil 9 if you've had an allergic reaction to the vaccine, its ingredients, or are allergic to yeast. Tell your doctor if you have a weakened immune system, are pregnant, or plan to be. The most common side effects include injection site reactions, headache, fever, nausea, dizziness, tiredness, diarrhea, abdominal pain, and sore throat. Fainting can also happen after getting Gardasil 9. If you're an adult to age 45 who hasn't been vaccinated, talk to your doctor or pharmacist about your risk for certain HPV.
Hoover didn't even acknowledge the Mafia existed until 1957, so we weren't really keeping tabs on guys like Vittorio Scaletta till after that.
What's going on, guys? This is Rob. We've got about a month and a half or so until the new Hawkeye trailer drops, so we thought it'd be fun to make a video basically ranking MCU shows that have come out so far, right? The 4 shows that we've gotten in our order of which one we think is the least interesting to the best of the shows. Something else to keep in mind, this is the exact order, this is the correct order, and no other order is correct. I'm just messing with you guys. Although I know some of you guys are pushing the comments. This is my order, and it's the correct order. And anybody who agrees with my order is wrong. So let's get right into this, right? We're coming into the number 4 spot on this, and I feel like we need a ranking system here, or some kind of a rating system. So we'll call the rating system Geeks, right? We use our little Geek Culture Explained logo, right? I think that'd be kind of cool. So editor Alex, make sure you put that in there. Coming in at number 4 with, I don't know, pick a lower arbitrary number, 4 Geeks. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier was okay, right? This show was interesting enough. It was interesting enough to keep me coming back every week, but it wasn't like the coolest thing there ever was. Which is coming off the heels of WandaVision. Now, something that I do recognize here is I know that they had already essentially finished Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or were for the most part done by the time WandaVision finished. So it's not as though they had just started the writing process for Falcon and the Winter Soldier as WandaVision was finishing, and they could take those compelling themes from WandaVision and roll them over into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And even if they could have, I doubt they would have. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a straightforward show. It was not messy. It was not fussy. There were no real twists and turns. And I think that is ultimately what took away from it. That with WandaVision, it was really exciting. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. But with that show, it was exciting. With Falcon and the Winter Soldier, if this show was a road, it'd basically be a road in Kansas that goes straight for like 80 miles. And there's a couple turns here and there, enough to make you wonder what's on the other side of that turn, but not enough to really be surprised by whatever happens to be there, right? I mean, you kind of know. So there were a few things that I thought were interesting. The idea of the power broker. I didn't see the idea that, like, Sharon Carter was the power broker as being a big plot twist. I thought it was cool. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to that show, it was the closest we got to a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie in TV form. Was it entertaining? Yes. Do I consider it to be the best of the MCU shows so far? No. It was just a cool show that we watched for a while we were just basically waiting for Loki to come out. And that brings us into number 3, coming with, we'll say, like 4.5 beats. What If. Now, I still stick by my statement on the What If review that I did yesterday or the day before, whatever it was, right? Like, no amount of YouTube comments is going to change that. Sorry about your luck. I thought What If was okay. Was it a show that was fun to watch? Yeah, sure. I had a great time watching it. Was it a show where some of the episodes were just absolutely phenomenal? Yes, definitely. Was it a show that I felt like what happened over the course of the entire series matters? No. And again, I stick by my statement that if the What If season finale had some kind of a tie-in to the MCU, if it had invoked something of the MCU, that the watcher had basically kind of been there watching everything unfold with regards to some of the events or any of the events in the main Marvel Cinematic Universe. If we had some reference to Loki or King the Conqueror or the Living Tribunal or any number of options that we could pick from that would have said, hey, like, this is going to continue on in some form or fashion into the future of the MCU. Possibly not that's not Strange 2 or something along those lines. That would have been interesting. That would have been cool, right? Like, Wanda from the MCU from WandaVision just comes flying through at the end of, like, the post-credit scene, right? Like, she wipes out a world or something like that, or destroys, again, I don't know, destroys the whole universe. Who knows, who cares? But if there had been some kind of
Police released Mr. Dupree on his own recognizance
such as
after
it
he
is,
claimed to act in
I would
self-defense
have
when the
never
two
seen
victims
this show.
trespassed on his
It would
front
make
porch.
no difference or
Witnesses claim the
kind of
two
theory
men
whatsoever
recently returned from tours in Vietnam for seeking help
and
with a
that's
flat
what
tire.
disappoints me most. Is because when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as far as my theories go, anybody who's been on this channel long enough knows I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I just like theorizing stuff. It's cool if I'm right, that's awesome. But if I'm wrong, who cares? I had a great time doing it. And so for that part, I don't really care. But the popularity of the MCU from my time having watched all these films, from your all's time having watched all these movies, is that in a lot of instances, everything builds on everything else. That you see these little cameos, appearances, these little pop-up moments here and there that basically tell us this is going to tie into something later on down the road. There's some kind of involvement. It's all an interconnected universe. The What If series gave us nothing about that, right? It was just a totally self-contained series. And if that's what it's going to be, cool. I guess based on the first season, we can kind of assume that's going to be the case. Even the response to it, and I'd like to believe that it's more than just feels that way, that there might be some to have a little more involvement with the rest of the season. Maybe it never does. I mean, the entirety of the What If series in comics never had anything to do with anything going on in the main Marvel universe outside of the fact that it was a story based on what would have happened if things happened differently. But it's not like there were ever really got to the end of a What If story of comics, and it ties back into the main Marvel universe itself. It doesn't usually happen that way. I did it a couple times it does, but not on any real level of regularity. So I guess it does make sense, given the What If show, that it would be totally self-contained. But the fact that it was self-contained and isolated, disappointed, right? Having said that, just because of the fact that we got to see, like, Marvel Zombies, which was amazing, because we got to see the whole story of, like, evil Doctor Strange, right? The whole thing was like Ultron taking the body of Vision, getting the Infinity Stones. Just those 3 episodes right there are what put What If at home on Falcon and Winter Soldier. If those episodes didn't exist, this would be all the way down to the very bottom. But having said that, given this thing like 4.5 weeks, and we're going to call it a day. So that moves us into number 2, which is WandaVision. And I'm sure a lot of people would be like, what? That's ridiculous, right? Keyboard warriors furiously typing away at their keyboard, just raging in YouTube comments. I'm sorry. WandaVision was a cool show, and in reality, it's kind of hard to find any real faults in the show, but there are a few here and there. Most notably, and most obviously, the first couple of episodes. They were a bit too slow. It started off a little too slow for its own good, and actually drove people away. One of the most important things you learn by being a YouTube content creator or anybody who creates any kind of content in the digital or analog streets is that you usually have about 5 seconds to catch people's attention at the beginning of the video. If you don't get it, most people are gone. When it comes to TV shows, you get about 1 or 2 episodes. If you can't catch people's attention in 1 or 2 episodes, they move on to something else, right? People's attention span is exceedingly short in this day and age because there's just a huge influx of stuff out there that's pulling their attention in different ways, right? So we are long gone from the days of like the 1980s and 80s, right? This is not that case anymore. It's not that time period anymore, right? So the first couple episodes were a little too slow. Having said that, most everything else about the show was great. It was fun, and it was interesting. I wish we had gotten to see a little more use of Wanda's powers, but in all honesty, I'm kind of splitting hairs at this point, because what we got was really cool, and it was really interesting. I'd like to see her use her powers in that capacity. It wasn't too grand of a gesture. It wasn't astronomically insane. It wasn't like she was wiping, or altering reality on like a universal scale, so it wasn't anything as gaudy and huge as House of M. It was small and it was localized. But what made WandaVision so cool is that the entire show, and it's not really even something that I thought of until after the show had gone off the air, and I'd seen somebody make a Twitter post about it, the whole show is basically Wanda just coming to terms with loss, right? Having lost Vision, having lost her brother Quicksilver, having just lost things over and over and over again, and then doing everything she can to just hold on to what little she has left. That's the whole idea of the show. That touched me personally, right? Just because of my own personal life experience and the losses that I've endured. And so I totally understood where that came from, and I loved that whole thing. The one thing that holds the show back from taking the #1 spot, right? The one thing that holds the show back, and I know I'm nitpicking here, I don't care. The engineer should have been Adam Brashear. It absolutely should have been Adam Brashear. There's no reason it shouldn't have been him, right? Adam Brashear is amazing. I love the character of Adam Brashear, and I will hold that against a show. But let me tell you something, I'm petty. I will name names, right? If a show does something that I'm not a big fan of, like the engineer should have been Adam Brashear, well, I'll hold that against the show forever. Let me tell you something, man. I wouldn't say WandaVision's name is mud in my book, but like that should have happened, and I'm gonna hold that grudge against WandaVision forever. You can be mad at me all you want to. I don't care. That's just the way it is. I'm going to hold that grudge, right? But that's like the one thing that kept it taking the #1 spot. Now, having said that, I'd give it like a solid 4.9, right? I mean, this thing is almost perfect. But the #1 spot, as you guys know, belongs to Loki. This was a phenomenal show. Loki nailed every single mark along the way. I loved this thing, right? One, because of the way that Tom Hiddleston plays Loki, but two, it didn't rely on a lot of the tropes that we know of with Loki. I mean, to a degree it did, but that went out of the way with right in episode #1. That was done because that was my fear going into the first episode is, oh my god, it's basically going to be Loki from like Thor or like from Avengers, where he's basically just kind of a goof with a little bit of a dick sometimes, and just like an occasional nice thing. That's just going to be this whole show. No. I love the way they handled that. Right, where he had like go back, he went back and watched his own future and saw that like because of his actions, gets his mom killed. That right there was the turning point. And then you got to see the serious part of Loki, right? What's Loki capable of when he actually puts his mind past and it's serious? You know, I loved that whole thing. The character of Sylvie, I loved it. One of the things that I've kind of noticed about myself over the years, I prefer the mystery and intrigue. Kind of a sidetrack here. Here's a really good example. Do you guys remember the show Heroes back in the day? Heroes was an amazing show. I loved the character of Sylar before they developed him. I loved him. He was just the shadowy guy who was going around killing people with superpowers and then stealing. I loved that when he could front like his hat forward like that. You could never see his face. He wore like a black trench coat. It was weird that he made lockers fly off the wall. I love that whole element. For some reason or another, I don't really know why. I prefer it when like the villain is kind of mystery figure. Because there's no real identity, right? And a lot of this probably does for actually. And so while I wasn't really huge on the idea of Sylvie actually getting a face and getting a name and getting a backstory, I do think that the story that he got was cool. The relationship with that usually causes their own problems, right? That they can create a lot of issues for themselves, and Sylvie was a perfect example of it. Having said that, what I think really puts Loki over the top, as cool as the stories were, and also one of the fight scenes were, and as fantastic as the relationship between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston was, which was absolutely phenomenal. What I really think puts this over the top is the world building. The idea of Immortus, the guy that we never saw coming in the show. I can't think of a single person who could honestly state that they expected to see Immortus at the end of the Loki show. I think a lot of people hypothesized King the Conqueror or something like that. And if we ever saw him, it'd be some kind of a post-credit scene or some kind of a little cameo or something in like the telltale end, right? So like the last minute and a half of the show. But like the whole notion of the timekeepers and all that kind of stuff, I thought that was about as far as it went. I was like, okay, so we get to see the timekeepers are actually real. All right, cool. Like that's basically it. And that was just the tip of the iceberg. Find Immortus. The world building, I think, is what really sets this show apart, because pretty much everything that we've seen so far going into the Marvel Cinematic Universe post-Loki is all based on Loki. I still stand by the idea that the post-credit scene for Venom 2 is based on Loki. I still stand by the idea that the whole idea of Doctor Strange's spell going awry happens because of Loki. That it wasn't really supposed to work that way, and it wasn't really Peter screwing up the spell. I mean, maybe it was, but I feel like that coincides with the actions of Loki and the multiverse coming back, and basically he just passed the spell at the wrong time, right? Like a car wreck at an intersection. Things just kind of go belly up, and everything goes nuts, and then the whole movie unfolds in Spider-Man 3, right? I mean, when it comes to this kind of thing, when it comes to the show of Loki, I feel like the ending of this and everything that it did, bringing in the multiverse and all that kind of stuff, perfectly encapsulates what makes the Marvel Cinematic Universe the Marvel Cinematic Universe. World building, crossovers, appearances, cameos, the whole 9 yards. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So, having said that, guys, that's our list. That's our ranking for the 4 Marvel TV shows so far. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably let me know what you think down in the comments section, although I don't really have to ask you, right? It is the internet, right? Like, people are compelled to give their factual answers to like of opinion. Oh, Loki? Fine. Perfect crossing. So, having said that, guys, we're going to bring this to an end. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you all later. Peace.
In the What If finale, as the Watcher is getting together with the Guardians of the Multiverse, we saw a surprise team member. We cut to Tony and Gamora on Cavalier in the process of melting down the Infinity and the Watcher looking to accomplish Gamora, survivor of the car, destroyer of Thanos. So if you were wondering, why is Gamora? Yes, why is Gamora? Did you miss an episode of What If? Well, you kind of did. We all did. There is a lost episode of What If that producer Brad Winterbaum confirmed was pushed to season 2 because of COVID. So let's talk about this lost episode, what happens, and how it would have made the finale of What If so much better. So I'm going to be talking a lot about leaks to various websites from the past couple years. We don't usually talk about leaks because they're usually made up, because I don't want stories spoiled for me, and I'm betting most of you don't either. So some of what I'm saying may or may not be accurate, and we're also going to do a fair amount of speculating. So careful for potential spoilers of an episode of What If that won't be out for a couple years. So this lost episode obviously featured Tony Stark and Gamora. The Watcher calls her the survivor of Sakaar. Now, Sakaar, you'll remember, is the trash planet ruled by the Grandmaster,
the creator of Sakaar and father of the Contest of Champions,
where he holds the Contest of Champions. Sakaar is not this planet, where Gamora's family was killed in the Infinity War flashback. So the Watcher is basically telling us that Gamora ended up in the Contest of Champions and emerged victorious. So why is Tony Stark there? Well, look at the markings on his armor. They're very reminiscent of Jack Kirby's artwork, the same artwork that inspired the production design of Thor Ragnarok and Sakaar. This is also new armor for Tony, reminiscent of his Hulkbuster. But notice these new additions, like the thrusters on his back. These seem very reminiscent of Sakaran technology. So the rumor is that this lost episode of What If showed Tony Stark blowing up the Chitauri and then just barely missing the wormhole, and Steve Rogers made the closing just a little bit early. So then there's a sequence of Tony floating lost in space, like at the beginning of Endgame. But then he falls through another random wormhole, which takes him to Sakaar.
My name is Cook. I'm kind of like the leader in here. I'm made of rocks, as you can see.
This would explain why Taika Waititi was originally listed as a cast member for the show, when Korg actually has no dialogue in the episodes where he appears. And it explains why Jeff Goldblum would return for only one episode. Because originally, Korg, Grandmaster, Topaz, and Valkyrie were going to appear in this episode. And a couple years ago, a Lego design leak that showed Tony Stark's foreign armor. This included Tony Stark in his Black Sabbath t-shirt from Avengers, Uatu, and Valkyrie, even though Tessa Thompson was never confirmed to do her voice in the show.
You're not going to do it's weird.
So we can presume that Tony lands on Sakaar, his armor is damaged, and his power is low from keeping himself alive in space. Then Scrapper 142 finds Tony, enslaves him.
I don't like that word.
Turns him into a prisoner with a job, and he enters the Contest of Champions, where he meets Korg and Meek, etc.
This is my very good friend over here, Meek. He's an insect and has nice hands.
Now, Tony is clever. He made his Mark I suit in a cave with a bunch of scraps, so he has no problem using alien tech to augment his armor into a proto-Hulkbuster. Then, instead of Hulk, a great champion that is untouchable in the arena.
Hello there, I would like some chicken, please.
No, stop asking, it's not today.
For me, this isn't fair.
The other day, I caught the whole chicken in the break room, so now Doug has a taste for poultry. See, I've been cutting that first get ready for Thanksgiving, and that is why I wanted a knife that was so high quality it could have been made by Tori Hanzo. So, this year, I am using Kamikoto knives, the sponsor of this video. Each knife comes in a heavy-duty actual box to store it safely, and it just feels special when you open it. Now, this weekend I used them to carve a whole chicken, and it's sliced through the meat like butter, and perfectly balanced, as all things should be. The knives are created by tapping into 800-year-old traditional Japanese techniques, swordsmithing, ironworking, and metal casting. Each blade is made of Japanese steel, using techniques that have been perfected by generations of knife smiths. Now, all of these knives have gone through a 19-step process that takes years to complete, and each step comes with a lifetime guarantee. I mean, no wonder these knives are used by chefs in Michelin star restaurants. So, Kamikoto is offering Screen Crush viewers an extra $50 off any purchase with the discount code ScreenCrush. So, click the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. Now, there was also a couple of leaks, one from Reddit user Dow366, the other to the Illuminati, that claimed that Thanos was unaware that Tony Stark was on Sakaar. So, he sends Gamora to assassinate him. This would have been probably just before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. So, Gamora is wearing the armor that she was wearing an endgame that is more modeled after Thanos' look.
Which was the style at the time.
So presumably she can't get to Tony because he's the champion and well protected. So instead, she enters the tournament to kill him in combat. You know, Gamora's always having a change of heart, and she ends up liberating Tony and telling him that her dad was actually behind the attack on New York, and then she tells him about Thanos' plan to get the stones and wipe out half of all life. Kind of like how the Infinity War trailer originally cut their separate conversations together.
He gets all the Infinity Stones. He can do it with the snap of his fingers.
Tell me his name again.
The two of them team up to defeat Thanos together. Maybe she even kills him with her helicopter. He's over here. Episode. Then they travel to Nidavellir to destroy the ring. Infinity Gauntlet, which, okay. Eitri the dwarf made the gauntlet for Thanos, but then Thanos took Eitri's hands to make sure that he couldn't make another.
Your life is yours, he said. But your hands are mine.
Here, Eitri still has his hands. Now, there is a theory that Eitri did not design the gauntlet for Thanos. He designed it for Odin, who at one point was trying to collect all the stones. That's why he had the Tesseract and ended up hiding on Earth, and why he knew so much about the ether.
Anita Malekith made a weapon out of that darkness. While the other relics often appear in stone. Do it, and never change it.
But, as the theory goes, once he found out about the price for the Soul Stone, he would have to abandon his quest. It's probably around this time that he realized that he shouldn't be a conqueror, and he banished Hela. So, thousands of years later, Thanos steps in and uses Odin's old design for the gauntlet.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
So now, Gamora is destroying the gauntlet to make sure that no one can ever use it. And what I love most about this is that we still see Tony's paranoia and self-destructive tendencies.
How do we put a suit of armor around the world? Around the galaxy?
Notice that he repeats his goal from Age of Ultron.
I see a suit of armor around the world.
Much like the One Ring, Tony is tempted to use this great power for good, when as the finale shows it will only be corrupted for evil. This is probably why the Watcher chose Gamora. He needed a fighter who recognized the stones were evil and who wouldn't be tempted to use them. And this small addition would have made the entire season of What If so much better. So it's kind of become a running joke that Tony Stark is the Kenny of What If. He dies in every episode. But this also shows the importance of Tony Stark. Because he dies, he can't solve everyone's problems. Tony Stark in the MCU is a lot like Donatello in the later days of the original Ninja Turtles cartoon. He's the guy who always uses science to find a way to win. So if the others can't rely on him because he's dead, it places that reality in a much more vulnerable spot. And it just makes for a better episode of What If. Tony can't go through his dad's journals and read about Hank Pym's formula and figure out that he's killing the Avengers. Tony can't find a cure for the zombie plague. Heck, even in the Lost episode, Tony and Gamora were going to kill Thanos together. But don't forget, Tony's brilliance also caused the end of universe after universe. His great sin was creating Ultron, and he created Ultron because of his guilt over selling weapons and his fear that if aliens did invade, it would be his fault. So every reckless action of Tony's, Ultron, Civil War, time travel, is motivated by his overwhelming guilt, which, let's face it, his dad probably planted in him by making him feel like a constant failure.
With Cole, he never told me he loved me, never even told me he liked me.
And we see the same restless, destructive energy in this episode of What If in just a couple lines of dialogue.
These Infinity Stones. Look, I'm out of the weapons business, not like Kate, but how do we put a suit of armor around the world?
Here, he's basically setting himself on the same path that he traveled in Ultron. He's like Boromir. He would take the magic artifacts and intend to use them for good while unleashing unspeakable evil.
Give to the foes of Mordor.
Imagine if Tony had used all the stones to invent Ultron. He would have created the exact same threat that is now destroying the multiverse. And this all would have been so much better if we would have had an episode devoted to Tony Stark. If we could see him repeat the beats of Iron Man 3, struggling to survive without his armor, building weaponry from scratch, and rising to the top of the contest of champions. We would have seen Tony learn about Thanos from Gamora, learn that his weaponry was never going to be enough to defend Earth, and seen his fear. We would understand exactly why the Watcher, like Nick Fury, didn't want him on his team.
Your moon-shaped ugly mug, not you, Stark.
Which leads us to believe at this juncture we'd only like to use you as a consultant.
we would look back and see that the whole season of What If was building toward this, taking all these heroes from the margins that maybe we didn't think much about or we undersold, and then placing them in this situation where they could take center stage and save the multiverse. But tell me what you thought about this lost episode of What If. What other What If episode would you like to see? Did you like the finale? Tell me on Twitter or let me know in the comments below. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and ring that bell for alerts. Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.
Who have no respect for private property.
At the same time as you can see the sky, a higher power.
Hello! Today we'll be making crepes with Greek yogurt, caramelized pears, and candy pecans. I'm Chef Trent, and you're watching Public Sapiens Cooking School Online. Alright, so we're going to start with our candy pecan. We have a large mixing bowl here that we're just going to add an egg white to, and then also a little bit of water. We're going to vigorously whisk this with a balloon whisk, and we're just going to incorporate the air. You're going to see the consistency and volume change a little bit the more you vigorously whip, as you can see there. We're going to stop there, and we're going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar. Mixture gets thicker and thicker, and your sugar dissolves, and it starts to get incredibly shiny, like a melted marshmallow. And we call this ribbon state because you can technically make a little figure 8 out of it. So to this mixture, we're just going to add a little bit of allspice and a little bit of green cardamom. And you're just creating this wonderful, sweet, aromatic mixture that's going to stick to your pecan as it cooks in the oven. And from this state, we are just going to add a little bit of salt. We'll give that one little quick whisk. We'll get rid of our whisk, and we're going to gently fold in our pecans. These are half pecans. You're just coating, essentially just folding this mixture. You don't want to stir very hard. All you're going to do is just deflate the air out of the meringue. So from this point, you go right on to a parchment-lined baking tray. Spread these out evenly. Now these go into a preheated 250-degree oven for about 40 to 50 minutes. Let's go grab the rest of our ingredients for our crepes. While our pecans are cooking in the oven, we're going to start with our crepe or crepe batter. So we're going to start with our wet ingredients first. An egg, 3/4 of a cup of milk. We will bust our yolk with our whisk. Just gradually stir to mix that together, and then slowly add our milk.
I don't know my car went, y'all.
And you're just incorporating